Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD, Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai. We believe at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. And today it's my pleasure to have another Simplenight Presents. We are going to be talking to Ron Lewin. Ron Lewin is also a serial entrepreneur. He just had a recent exit of his company called TerraLink. He's been a builder of companies since he's been 16 years old, and he understands the power of partnerships, and that's what we want to talk about today. So with that, I'd like to bring Ron on board. Hi, Ron. How are you today?
Hi, Gary. Good to see you.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get started, and how important were partnerships in building your business?
Well, I got started when I was about 16 years old. I had been messing around with computers for some time. And at that point, I decided I could make some money doing this. And I started helping businesses to implement some IT into their operations. And by the time I was 19, it was a full-time commercial enterprise. And over the next 30 years, I basically built it up to 700 people working in 7 offices around the world, working with very large oil and gas companies, financial institutions, retail, pharma, all different kinds of businesses implementing business process automation technology, including AI. 30 years ago, there really wasn't very much AI, but over the 30 years, we did more and more AI, and it came in different shapes with different names like machine learning. Now it's just called AI, but a lot of the same technologies and techniques have been around for 10, 15 years already. But in the last 2, 3 years, there have been huge leaps in the technology being used, the methodology, the infrastructure available for AI automation, and that's made basically huge changes. It's been a leap in the capability of AI. But in any case, so a few years ago, I basically sold the company. And over the past few years, I've been focused more on M&A and mentoring startups, helping them with operational expertise and understanding how to build their companies. And one of the key aspects of that is partnerships. Partnerships have always been, I would say, one of the, if not the most important factor in building my company. My management team, we were always talking about partnerships. Whenever we started a new line of business, one of the first questions that we addressed is, what are the partnerships that we can build? What are the low-hanging fruit in partnerships? And if we didn't have any good answers for that, it meant don't go there. It was if we didn't have a clear vision on the partnerships and the people that we could work with to build that business, we knew it was a non-starter. So partnerships are always key for building any new line of business, in my opinion. I mean, yes, you can start a new business. If you have the vision, you can build it from scratch. If you're sure that there's a market for that, that you have the secret sauce, the right materials, that is, that are, there's the expression, build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. I think that's the expression, something like that. Anyway, the point is that if you really got something special, then yeah, the partnerships will form themselves, and maybe you don't have to see that in advance. But if you're entering a market where there's already incumbents, and even if your offering is going to be somewhat different, you're still probably entering a market. And when you enter a market, you're going to need partnerships. You're going to need partnerships to develop new channels to your customers. You're going to need partnerships to help you promote your new business. And you're going to need partnerships that will enable you to serve your customers. I probably went a little bit far with this topic already, so I'm going to hand it back to you to lead me in the right direction.
So if we look at it, strategic alliances fuel growth, foster innovation, and benefit all partners involved. What kind of partners? So if you look at it, if you look at a company like Simplenight, what kind of partners are important for companies like Simplenight? And, what is the power of the partnership?
Well, basically, you always have three kinds of partnerships, no matter what type of business you are in. You're going to have vendor partnerships, which are the companies who provide you with what you're selling, or the materials for what you're selling, or the raw talents maybe that you are using in your business. You're going to have customer partnerships, and those are the partnerships that help you, that the customers that you are working with, and you have to see those as partners also, because if you don't see those as partnerships, you're not realizing on both sides the full benefit of it, and when you don't realize the full benefit of it, you're leaving something on the table, and you're likely to lose that customer partner. And then the third is a go-to-market partnership, which helps you to reach the markets and the new customers that you're trying to reach. So in the case, if you asked me in the case of Simplenight, so Simplenight has vendors. They are basically a platform to help bring together ecosystems, and the big part of the ecosystem are the vendors that provide them. If we're talking about travel, which is only a part of what Simplenight does, but the travel providers, that may be the direct travel provider. Maybe they're working directly with an airline. It may be some type of consolidator who consolidates tour packages, tickets, something like that. Then they have their customer partners. So Simplenight operates primarily as a B2B business. So they basically partner with companies for who Simplenight provides a service to those companies' customers. So that's a partnership, and that's the most important partnership in a sense, because that's what brings the customer, the end user, and the money in the door, and makes the business work. And then the third partnership is the go-to-market partnership, and that's a partnership with a company where you might have a joint marketing strategy. You might be promoting yourselves. In some ways, what Simplenight does with GSD is in part a go-to-market partnership, because here we are doing GSD Presents on behalf of Simplenight, talking about AI. And
Simplenight presents.
Simplenight
GSD.
Presents. Yes, exactly. But the point is, it's a partnership, and it's a partnership that benefits Simplenight. And that makes sense. That's what Simplenight wants to be doing. So these are the three principal types of partnerships. And again, any business has to be thinking about these partnerships. And the vendor partnerships, I mentioned travel providers, for example, but there are a number of vendor partnerships that exist. And vendor partnerships can be, again, companies that provide talent to you to help you build what you're trying to build. It can be also companies that provide something like marketing services. And in many cases, the vendor partnerships are very important because they bring customers. In my business, we had tremendous relationships with some of our biggest vendors, and they understood that we were good partners for them because we ensured that our customers, who are also their customers, for example, SAP, a well-known enterprise automation software publisher, we were a big partner of theirs and they were a big partner of ours. And very often they would start working with the clients and that client would ask them, who should we hire to implement the software? And, of course, SAP have to be careful about this because they can't be seen as unjustifiably recommending any specific partner. But when they know that a partner does a good job and they can be confident that a partner has the capability and the competence to do a project for them, they will recommend that partner to the customer. And that's the most powerful recommendation you can get. Even in many cases, a recommendation from another is powerful because even if another customer is giving you a recommendation, it's good, but the recommendation from the vendor is almost like a guarantee because if something happens and the implementation goes wrong, for example, the customer can go back to the vendor and say, hey, you recommended this partner and they're screwing up, fix it. But they can't do that if it's a recommendation from another customer. So most customers will take a vendor recommendation as basically the most powerful type of recommendation that they can get and the most reliable recommendation.
Yeah. So one of the things that we talk about, so for all of you out there, it's really from a Simplenight perspective, the kind of things we're looking for is we're looking for brand synergy, we're looking for scale, we're looking for service quality. Because it's all said and done, we want to get this stuff done as fast as possible. What we've been able to do is really streamline this onboarding process to make it easy for partners to become on board and to be able to integrate very, very quickly. And, the other thing we're looking for is things like a long-term relationship. It's not about just today. It's about how can we build our business in a long-term strategy together. So a lot of this is built around having a flexible, open technology infrastructure and integration. So if we look at it, Ron, I know we've moved into this new area with the engine, but let's talk about how we can go down through and use the engine to do a lot of different things to be able to help our partners to be able to grow.
Which engine do you mean?
The
Sure, I caught it.
Yeah, the Simplenight engine, the AI engine that enables it. So for all of you out there, we've been able to build an engine. You can imagine having the capabilities with one engine that can do multiple different things. One engine that can use this advanced generative AI to be able to help us to make better decisions. Imagine flying from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to San Francisco. It would know what seat you like in the plane, whether or not you like first class on the right-hand side in Delta. Who's in that location that might be interesting, that went to the University of Pennsylvania with you, that would like sushi, and the time that restaurant's available. What it does is it really helps us to be able to structure this infobesity. And these pictures that are being painted, the future's today. The companies that use these technologies to be able to build that future are the companies that are going to be able to harness this challenge of infobesity. Think about it. When you're doing a flight, all the different parts that you have to have in place. What hotel do we want to stay at? It knows that you're a Hilton Honors and you've got a status and you want to get more days at that Hilton Honors because you're going to take a flight to Waikiki in 2 months and you need a couple of more days. It understands it, kind of like your grandmother that cares about you with empathy and compassion. And you're going to start to see these engines, the Simplenight engine, in a lot of different things. You're going to start to hear more about these hyper intelligent LLMs at scale. They're going to change the way we look at our business, Ron. And so if you look at it, you look at the partnerships. When you started your business and the partnerships, how long was it before you understood the power and how, in terms of your business, how important were the partnerships, and what kind of percentage of the business were those partnerships?
It was pretty quick, actually, that I understood the importance of the partnership. Um, but it may have been a little bit of time before I recognized the importance. There's a little bit of a difference. And what I mean is that when I started, I was somewhat young and I didn't have that much experience, and we were working and we were getting recommendations from some of our vendors because we knew what we were doing, and that really helped us, and that was important. And but it took a few years until I came to the point where I really recognized that so much of the success was built on those partnerships. And the importance of having all of the partnerships in retrospect became very clear. Excuse me. So, in terms of building the partnerships and how to build the partnerships, it's very important that, again, you think about who are going to be your vendors and what those vendors need and what those vendors want. And very often they will tell you. So when you talk to your vendors and when you talk to your other partners, it becomes very obvious what their goals are. And they will be open with you about that. And usually they have very clear goals. They have, OKR style goals or Kanban goals or something like that. You can understand their formal goals, but there's also informal goals, and you just got to sit down and build a relationship. Actually, this is a very important point, that partnerships are relationships. And just like the relationships that you have in your real life, the partnerships that you have in your real life, you need to be open with your partners, and you need to be have good chemistry with the partners. And the most effective partnerships that we always had were with the people where we would they would come visit us, and we would go out for a drink with them, and we would spend hours together talking, and we build the relationship, and we understood what we want out of each other, and more important, how we can have fun getting there. Because having fun in a partnership, in a relationship, makes all the difference. And yeah, you need to be performing. So just like, let's say, in a marriage, you need to have a few different things, and you need to be meeting. It's like the I'm trying to remember the name of this pyramid of needs. At the basic level, you need to be providing food, etc. And in a partnership, providing food is really about revenue and generating sales. But at a higher level, you need to have to be fulfilling emotional requirements. You need to be having fun. You need to be making it enjoyable to work for each other. You need to be ensuring that there are no problems. And when you have that, the partnership becomes very effective. So coming back to how you establish these partnerships, you need to be looking for the people with whom you can work, with whom you can share your values, that have a similar vision on how things have to work as you have. And then when you start working with those people, if this is all correct, if this is all true, the partnership builds itself practically. If you are capable, if you are competent, if you are able to deliver the basic minimum requirements, and you have the personality and the personal relationship and the emotional chemistry, then the partnership is almost sure to be a success. Now, as in a lot of things in life, there's no guarantee that you're going to have a personal chemistry or anything like that. And so part of it is also about recognizing when that doesn't work and having a plan B in that case. Maybe you build a different partnership with someone else. Maybe you find somebody else in the organization, if you really depend on that organization, with whom to work and with whom to build that relationship instead. So if you work in this way, and if you think about the important partnerships for you, and you have a plan for that, and by the way, that's an important point also, when we would launch a new line of business in the company, when we would have a new initiative in the company, we would normally have a business plan for that. We would have um, a roadmap for that, and there was always a section on partnerships in there, and it was one of the first sections on partnerships. I mean, one of the first sections in the business plan was the section on partnerships, and we needed to have from the manager who was going to execute that, we needed, or in some cases, be myself, if it was a very high level strategic initiative, we needed to have a clear picture of who are going to be our partners, how are we going to work with them, what are our criteria for ensuring that that's going to be for our criteria for knowing that that is successful. And so partnerships have to be part of the business plan as well.
We look at it, we look about the innovation and future trends. For all of you out there, if we look at travel, we look at entertainment, we look at purchasing experiences, AI, as we talked about, things like AGI. If we look at AR and VR, and we look at these personalization engines, they're really going to dramatically transform the travel and entertainment industry. The other thing we don't want to forget about is sustainability and eco-friendly partnerships and relationships to be able to help us to impact this earth in a very positive way. And the other thing is customer preferences. We change all the time. And I know, Ron, you like doing this, but analyzing our shifting user behaviors, focusing on demand for these unique, highly curated experiences. Unique experiences are personalized for us. And having the tool, a Simplenight, to be able to help us do that. Imagine how great the future is. At the same time, we have these unique curated experiences, but we also have the right kind of price at the right place at the right time. Imagine being able to buy anything, anywhere, anytime. So we're going to see these trends happen very, very quickly, and already Simplenight's down that road. Let's talk about, if we look at that, how companies scale, Ron. How did you scale your company, and what are some of the bumps that you had in the road? And how do you go over those bumps as a company that's growing exponentially?
Well, I'm going to answer that in a second. I'm going to come back for a sec for what you just said about Simplenight, and for example, about eco-conscious partnerships and eco-conscious travel. And that's again a point about having the same values as your partners, and that's also a point about AI. So in some ways, when if you as a business owner have the values of eco-consciousness, you're going to seek out eco-conscious vendors as well. And they as vendors are going to seek you out if you have that position in the marketplace as well. But Simplenight, working with its customers, also provides that. And so as the AI engine learns the preferences of you as a user of Simplenight, excuse me, as it learns the preferences, if you have an interest in eco-conscious travel, for example, then it is going to propose to you that type of business, that type of experience. And so in some ways, the AI is going to enable people to help set the types of partnerships that Simplenight will have, because that interest will flow through from the users through the AI engine into the selection and purchases of the vendors for Simplenight. And so it's really interesting to see how AI is going also to help influence this natural flow of interests between the consumers, the company like Simplenight, and outside vendors as well. Coming back to your question about how do we deal with problems that happen, I think that was more or less your question.
Scaling the company as you're going down through and
Yeah.
it's exponentially growing, how do you go down through? How did you go down through and deal with some of those issues? And how did you always keep it positive?
Yeah. Okay. So scaling is obviously important. And as you scale, you start to work with bigger projects, bigger customers, bigger vendors, and that means bigger partnerships. And as you start to develop bigger partnerships, you want to be moving up the ladder internally in the organization, getting more recognition at senior management level with the partners that you're working with. In some cases, you might already have that. You might be a smaller vendor and you might have started working already immediately with the top people in the organization. In some companies, like SAP, which is a giant custom company, it takes time to develop those relations. And relationship building is important, and relationship building in the prism of scaling the company is even more important. So in the case of SAP, we were going to events, SAP events. We were making sure we got invited to the important events. It takes lobbying efforts. It takes networking efforts. We had to have people inside the company whose job was a partnership job, working with the vendor. We got onto, they had an exclusive vendor council, which worked with top management in SAP around the world, a council of partners. And there were something like 24 very important partners representing different regions of the world in this partner council. And we got into the partner council, giving us a direct voice and visibility into the top management. And that worked the other way as well, because then when they had new initiatives, when they had new ideas, they would come to us and they would expect us to buy into their new initiatives and new ideas. And so partnership is a two-way street, and that's important also. You can't always expect to get something out of a partnership. You have to be giving something as well, and that's what makes it work. So being successful, it's a vicious cycle. You have to have success in order to have money to invest into the partnerships. And then when you have the money to invest into the partnerships, it helps ensure that the partnerships return something to you, which then brings you more success. So the problems, as usual, start when things start going sideways, when maybe there is a personal issue with somebody in the partnership, when maybe something goes wrong in the business and there was some problem that gets escalated to the vendor and they're not happy, or to your other partner. It's also a competitive environment. So you have competitors who might want to be building the same partnership, and it becomes competitive because the vendor only has a certain amount of resources. They can only handle a certain amount of partners. There may be direct conflicts, and so you become very good also at managing politics and managing relationships.
Yeah, so it's about the council. Sounds like a good idea. Managing the relationships are important. We're coming up to the top of the show, Ron. Closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
Well, closing thoughts are basically that I'm really happy to be on the show, the Simplenight Presents show, because I know that Simplenight is so important for building partnerships. The Omni engine really is about building the partnerships between the end users and the vendors, and Simplenight enables that. And if anybody wants to reach me to discuss this more, you can reach me at Ron at Lewins, LEWINS.email. Ron at Lewins.email.
That's great, Ron. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And thanks to all of you for joining one more time. Simplenight Presents. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll be back here next week with another exciting edition. Take care, everybody.